All right, let's get into it. Hey world, welcome back and welcome to the Recovered Files with your one and only host, Mackenzie Taylor. You already know what it is. If you are listening, if you are tuning in right now, if you are watching on the YouTube platform, big shout out to you. Thank you all so much for your support, and I cannot wait to catch you over on the next episode of the Recovered Files. What's going on, y'all? How are y'all feeling today? How y'all doing? We're back with another week, another file, and I am excited to keep the ball rolling and just the topics and conversations that we are getting into, right? And so, to start us off, as you may see, my journal is closed because with this file today, I wanted to do something just a little bit different. I wanted to kind of go off the dome, especially with this topic. I feel like I will be pulling from a lot of personal experiences and just with me, I need a guideline because I am a professional yapper and I need something to keep me on track. So if this feels a little bit, oh no, right, perfect timing because I plan for that to happen. But if anything ever feels kind of like, okay, very much off the dome. But before we even get there, I need my microphone to act right. Come on now. Don't do me like that. All right. So, anyways, back to it. As I was saying, this topic in this conversation is going to be off the dome because I really want it to feel like raw and in a kind of different, I don't know, like a different vibe for today. So, without further being said, today is file 17 and it's called Sorry, Not Sorry. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it. So, with this file, Sorry, Not Sorry, this conversation is all going to be about unapologetic. Unapologetic. You're unapologetic. It's You're not apologizing for taking up space. You're not apologizing for betting on yourself, for rooting for yourself. And with this is such kind of like a self-love topic, but it's also one of those topics that are way easier said than done, right? Because even if I want to pull it and relate it from file 11, what we're starting off with, the hiatus. 5 years separated from our podcast, from this specific creative outlet. And I'm not going to say that I wasn't doing entirely nothing, but a lot of what went into that hiatus was me kind of losing touch and losing sight with me having that unapologetic nature about myself. You all, I don't know how many times I have to say it throughout this season, okay? There have been cringe moments, whether it's been from recording, whether it's been from editing, whether it's been having an episode and then scrapping it all together last minute because it just didn't give the vibes that I wanted it to give. But even when I look back on season one, I'm just like, even though there are really great topics, really great conversations that we're having, me being older and wiser and just being like, oh, she was she didn't know what to do. She was just putting herself out there. But that energy that I have to embody, that sorry, not sorry. Look, this is what it is. This is who I am. This is how I'm showing up. And you just got to take it or leave it. So kind of more along those lines, before we get to that place of, okay, sorry, not sorry, it has to come from a place. Let's start first with, let's not sleep on ourselves. Okay. And this is where I want to say the self-love practice starts minimal, especially if you want to build it up. It takes a lot of confidence and a lot of energy to get to being unapologetic for anything and everything. And it has to kind of build up to that point of, you just got to stop sleeping on yourself. You are made in a way that is so unique. I know you have all of these talents. I know you have all of these skills. I know you have a lot of these strengths, even though you have weaknesses as well too. But hello, that makes you exactly who you are. And if you are just hiding yourself, putting yourself away on a shelf, and you're not exploring the things that may be completely out of the box, okay? Like if you already are set in your career, if you are already set in friendships and certain relationships or certain experiences, okay? don't get so complacent. Don't get so complacent where it becomes a trap. And that's one thing I'm constantly putting into my brain in my 20s is complacency is a trap. You have to get to a point where you have to be uncomfortable, because being uncomfortable is going to yield change. And I don't really know how I feel about there's like negative change, because if things are always changing, I feel like it's an indicator that growth is happening because you're not staying in one place. So when you put yourself out there to kind of explore something new or to try something different, you're opening yourself up to be more confident in the range of things that you're capable of. If you were always put in a box, say by yourself or by certain institutions or by certain people that said, okay, this is so and so and this is exactly who they're going to be, or they are going to turn out like that. And everything in your life kind of suggests that you are in those rigid boxes that you or other people might put you in. You have the opportunity. You are the main character that can decide to step out of that and rewrite your whole story completely. And so I bring all of this back around when I talk about change, when I talk about complacency, is because I don't want you to sleep on yourself in the sense of you have gotten so stuck in a routine of doing something that you've always done that you stop putting bets on yourself, and now you're putting bets on other people. And a perfect example of that is when, I know you all may feel it as well too, but there's no feeling like discovering an underground artist right before they blow up and you see them kind of blow up and you see them take on these new avenues and this bigger trajectory. I love it when it comes to music artists. I love doing it when it comes to influencers, when I can just see the vision and I'm like, oh my gosh, they may not have all eyes on them right now, but they have just got something about them where if they stick to it, if they be consistent, then the world is eventually going to catch on. And it's so easy for us to do that for other people, right? We need to switch that energy and also have that energy for ourselves, you all. Who cares? Everything starts off cringy at first. Everything is embarrassing. Everything is all of those things when you start off at first and you just have to put yourself out there. But that is the necessary stepping stone that you have to take to get to all of these other levels of confidence and unapologeticness of just like, sorry, not freaking sorry. And so I would say that, like, it took part of the time that I was in my hiatus to be like, okay, you had something good, and even if you didn't like all of season 1, even if you didn't like every episode, even if as soon as you hear the intro you skip it, Mackenzie, it's one of those things where you completed it from start to finish. You made a season 1 and you had an episode 1 and you had an episode 10 and you followed it through and you put everything into place with what you knew at the time and you completed it and it's done. And so now that you have a complete project, because you didn't just abandon it where it was, or, you know, throw it away because you grew from that part of yourself, or whatever the case may be, it set the foundation for me to come back with the season 2, to come back bigger, better, visual, have these more in-depth topics and conversations and more to bring. And I am going to commit and finish this out, so by the time season 2 is over, baby, I'm aiming for a season 3, and so on and so forth, because I have to think big for myself and I have to see that vision, and I can't sleep on myself saying that, oh well, you know, because everything's not how you want it to be, or there's a couple episodes that may not be your favorite, then to just throw all the things away together. No. And it's such a testimony that I feel like I want to share as well too, because even in this whole process of my podcast, with writing out the episodes, with, you know, having my plot points in my journal and things like that, me getting through the recording, getting through the editing, before it even sees the light of day, before it ever gets published, okay? All of that affirmation has to come from me. All the affirmation until it is published and posted live, that comes after the fact. But the confidence of the sorry, not sorry, I am unapologetic, this is a real and raw topic that I want to share because I feel like it should be open to community. More people should know about this and talk about this and not just keep it under wraps. That has to come from my own sorry, not sorry, my own unapologetic nature, even just to show up. Hello, and set a vibe. And, the critiques are out there. It's always going to happen. But when I decided to stop sleeping on myself was the exact moment that I gave myself the freedom to be unapologetic. Seriously. I don't really need criticisms for other people. I have enough of my own to keep me level. Okay? But it's just a thing of like, how do you embody how does that work for you to embody that sorry, not sorry energy? I want to see you succeed. I want to see you do that thing. I want to see you try something new. I want to be put in conversation. I want us to talk about it. I want us to grow from it. But you can't keep hiding yourself from the world, thinking that that's going to keep you protected and safe. And I want to transition that into talking about the fears that we kind of condition ourselves to have by playing small, by putting ourselves on the shelf. And listen, I have been and I am that person. As much as I consider myself extroverted, and especially in the career that I want to do, right? I have no problem to a certain degree of putting myself out there. But in my own personal life, I value privacy so much. I want things that are just for me. And for a while, when I was sleeping on myself and I was playing small, I would trick myself and I would let my fears control me of, okay, well, you're just a private person. So maybe taking that risk and talking about certain topics or just kind of talking in general and reviving this era, maybe that's not something you want to do because you want to keep a sense of privacy. You want to keep an air of mystery around you. And I believe that. It got to a point where I believed that for so long. And that was my justification and that was my excuse. Every single reason why I decided to not fully commit for that audition, or I didn't fully go out for this role, or I didn't fully put myself into my own projects that I wanted to do because one, I had been separated from it from a long time. And when you don't stretch a muscle as consistently, it starts to kind of like get out of whack. You become rusty. You got to do things again. So to kind of build myself back up and kind of step into this area and space of my life, after being away from it for so long, I had the fears and I had the excuses to get me by of why I should not wake up on myself, why I should not be unapologetic. And it really didn't do anything for me, but kind of foster an insecurity and foster a confusion of like, whoa, if I'm getting so far stretched from who I thought I was, then where does that put me in my identity? And so as I bring this up, you can see the dominoes and how they affect all of these different things, where if you give yourself an excuse, there will always be one. Hello? There will always be one. If you make an excuse for it, and that's just the cold hard truth. But I'm here to encourage whoever's listening as well too, that I know it takes a lot to start believing in ourselves consistently and to be confident in ourselves consistently. But it's a practice and it's a muscle that you have to stretch. But how can you get to stretching that muscle in something or an activity that makes you feel confident in yourself? If you're really good at painting, then go ahead and do your own thing. If you're really good at sculpting or DIY, or you love to do nails or you love to do hair, get into that. Do it for fun until you build it into something big. If you want to do a business, if you want to teach classes, however you want to do, or if you just want to keep it as your little hobby, you can do that as well too. But you have to start and you have to put yourself out there and be sorry, not sorry about what the possible outcomes could be. And I guarantee you, when you put that into practice and you start to change, then change happens around you, and you will be pleasantly surprised how rewarding it really is. I have so much love for this time in my life, and especially season 2 of The Recovered Files, because as I have gone from each topic and conversation, even when I compare it to season 1, of this podcast, I have been so fulfilled. The messages, the people that I am supposed to reach, the messages that these are for, they're resonating. And, people are getting it and they're able to maybe apply it to their life or pass the conversation on to someone else. And that is exactly what this is about. All because I decided to be sorry, not sorry. Oh, okay. Did I crack the code? Oh, okay. Y'all know I'm goofing, but listen, what does it mean for you to be sorry, not sorry? What does that energy look like for you? And how are you going to embody that going into, say, the next month? Listen, we are getting towards the end of 2025, or even how you're going to bring that energy into 2026 for the next year. Wake up on yourself, honey. You have plenty of enough to brag on, to be confident about, to shine your light on, that only you can do, to put a little sauce on it that only you can. So do that. And the time that you decide to wake up on yourself and be unapologetic and say to whoever and whomever, sorry, I'm not sorry. Watch how your life changes. Well, you already know what it is. I'm rooting for you. I love y'all, and I can't wait to catch y'all on the next one. All right, that's it for me. Peace. Hate it. Sorry.